So like a 30-second. What was that? Hey, welcome to the special edition of Joy Score Live, people.
Yeah, come on in.
I don't know if you noticed, but it's not Wednesday, it's Tuesday, and tomorrow's Halloween. So we wanted to get a show in because everybody's going to be out partying. So this is a special Halloween edition, and this is the Fearless Factor. We're going to be exploring what it is to be fearless and the benefits of that and how to actually attain that. And we have a really special guest with us tonight. We have a pro skater.
Ramon, we want you on this show. Ramon, sorry.
Yeah, we have a special skater.
We do have a special guest.
We have a very special guest on the show. We have pro skater Leo Martinez. He's got an extraordinary story, and he's going to share that with us. And he's brought his skateboard with him. He's a bright young kid, and he's into sharing his fame and elevating people through his service, through helping other kids get out of the ghetto, for Christ's sake. And showing them how to use that board to raise their joy scores. Yes, Suzanne Toro. I got the lovely Suzanne Toro with us, all in spy get up.
Woo!
There she is.
Ready for the Halloween the night before.
Nice pumpkin.
You like that pumpkin?
Beautiful pumpkin. Great idea.
Yep.
We should have put a big J on the pumpkin.
That's
right?
True.
Right?
We should have put one. I wanted to carve it, but ran out of time.
What is that thing?
This is a star being. This is a Hopi Kachina, and this is the clown Kachina, which I thought would be appropriate. We'll tell us a little story a little bit later if you want, or now.
Well, whatever. What is that? What is that thing?
This Kachina
does that have to do with the fearless factor?
Yeah, actually, the fearless factor is the Kachina. This Kachina in particular comes out and makes fun of your jagged edges and uses satire to get you to shake your stuff off.
Well, where's that from? I mean, you're just popping up a little Kachina. Where's that? What origin is that?
This is from Hopi land, Hopi Nation in northern Arizona, east of the Grand Canyon.
Hopi Nation from east of the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
So who taught you those lessons about that little Kachina over there?
One of the traditional elders, or leaders actually, of the Mother Mesa, the second Mesa. There's 13 tribes out there. And
what do they do? Dance around a fire and hold up a little Kachina and eliminate their fear?
No, this is sacred. Like they carve these. This is part of their culture. And the gift. This was a gift to me from Gerald, one of the leaders, and it's a way for them to actually give you a little medicine and also show appreciation for you.
Well, good. It's in the studio. It should help us do a better show.
Yeah, we might. He delivers watermelons, so we'll see if our pumpkin turns into a watermelon. You never know.
How about our young guest?
Our young guest, yeah.
How special is this young man?
Very special. I'm really excited to have him here. What a blessed surprise. I give a shout out to Armando Hart for helping us gather him at the last minute. And what a treasure.
Yeah, no, he's definitely, he's like, he represents this upwardly mobile millennial generation, finding something that they really love and capitalizing it in a huge way.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, he represents, for me, he's kind of like ice cream in his sport. I mean, skateboarding just puts a smile on your face.
It does, and I think he'll be able to share, but I loved in his story that he'll be sharing with us how he shared that skateboarding is so easy. All you need is this board.
Well, a pro skater though. This guy he's in the upper echelon of everybody that can actually skateboard. He's like up there and the best in the world, right? I mean, to be the best at anything is like wow, right?
Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice.
Definitely an understanding there that he carries with him that hopefully when we talk to him, he'll be able to reveal some of those secrets in terms of how he succeeded through all of those obstacles that he's managed to overcome in his journey here just to America. Yeah, from Mexico City. His family tried to get here a couple of times. It wasn't successful. Then he got a pro skating career. Then he had to go back to Mexico. I mean, what a story. This is a movie.
It is a movie.
Maybe he'll let me write it. I'm sure somebody's got the rights to it, but God, it's easily turned into a film. I can't wait to get him out here. But how about the fearless factor?
The fearless factor, yes.
What is that fearless factor, Suzanne? How do you interpret that?
Well, I think if you can learn to be fearless of all things, that you're going to be freer in your living. So people have fears about spiders, goblins, all those kinds of things. But that holds up space in your body, in your mind.
What is fear? Huh? How about
fear.
That? What is fear?
Well,
what is fear?
You defined it that this isn't fight or flight fear.
Right into Suzanne if you feel you know what fear is, and we'll try to address that answer for sure. But what is fear?
What is fear? Well, fear is, you define it in two ways. One is fight or flight, and then a fear that we create as a delusion in our mind, of a spider or based on a trauma or that unknown.
Do you have any fears? You seem to be like a little disconnected from the idea of fear. I mean, what is it?
Fear.
Do you have fear?
Sometimes I get startled.
What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? We had this question before.
I don't think so.
No?
Never here.
Yeah, I don't. I think if like something was chasing me, I would probably run and feel fear. Like if all of a sudden I was like a predator. But I've camped with large cats and been on vision quests. I got to address some really primal fears in those moments. So now, I know I still can get startled, so I guess I must have some fear inside of me.
Well, we can certainly agree that fear is an obstruction, but also it's entertainment, especially around this time of year. We're like dressing up like scary things.
Yeah, and to have fun with people and try to startle them scare them.
Scary movies?
Yeah, we saw a scary movie not too long ago.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Right? Halloween.
That got an A+ on the tension of suspense.
Well, Halloween, I mean... Yeah, that was suspenseful. It was a little scary. Had a little comedic moment. It wasn't even totally terrifying. It was gory and a little gruesome, but it had a little fun edge to it.
Yeah.
And there's something fun about being afraid. But then we have this other aspect of fear that might be with us in a more
steady daily basis, like anxiety.
Yeah.
Your stage fright, maybe. Afraid to take action in your life. Fear like that.
More subtextual fear. Maybe a fear that we don't even know that we have, that we've sort of set up in our minds as a constant.
Right.
Like, I'm supposed to be afraid of this. I'm supposed to be afraid of that. I'm supposed to be afraid of this. I guess a lot of prejudice, a lot of discrimination.
That's true.
Is the basis of prejudice and discrimination is fear.
Right.
And
that's something.
And it can be it can be a cultural fear. It can be a family fear.
Right.
It can be a fear given to us by our education.
Yeah.
Educational systems.
From a family system.
Right. And it can be actually the experiences that we may have had that might have scared us. But I want to distinguish the fight or flight as not fear, but the moment in which the body tries to survive under extreme circumstances. The aftermath or the memory of those extreme circumstances, that the reflection on those circumstances can make us become fear-based.
Right. It's kind of like getting back on the horse again once you fall off.
Yeah, well, kind of like that. It certainly is. But a lot of people have different experiences where they have, a hard encounter with within a robbery or a sexual assault or, just a bad experience. That can become an ingrained fear factor within us.
Right.
So really the elements of overcoming that fear is really understanding what that entity is and what it needs to flourish. I mean, if you can think about what...
The fear to flourish or to go away?
No, what the fear needs to flourish. What does fear need? What does it feed on? What is that? What does your fear need in order for it to build. And once we understand sort of what that dynamic is, then we can sort of start to address these subtextual fears, or these obvious fears, or these cultural fears, or these educational fears, and all of that stuff. And that's really important to understand.
Well, a lot of times it's a locked pattern in the brain. Actually, not a lot, it is. And so then it's like, how do you address that issue?
Oh, you're so scientific. It's a locked pattern in the brain.
Yeah, it's a neurotransmission. So anytime you have a reminder of that thing, or you've told yourself that if I go do this, I need to have anxiety about it before I do it, when you've made that story up in your head, and so your brain is...
What is that? Say that, Thomas?
Turn it down just a smidgen.
Whose?
Oh, too loud.
Suzanne?
I'm too hot.
Okay, gotcha. How about now? Go ahead.
Okay,
keep going.
So
you don't stop because I stopped.
Sorry. So the fear, you don't have to like let it rule your life and be there forever. And so when I work with people one-on-one, I really get them to say, I'm like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen in any situation? And for me, like, the absolute worst thing is someone's going to die. And so if they're going to, that's going to happen. You can't avoid it. But all the other stuff, there's always an action plan you can take. Oh, if you're going to get abducted again, or you're going to crash off your bike again, what are you going to do? You respond. Already know how to recover. If you've made it all through these instances, you know how to do it. You'll do it better the second time. So there's no real reason to hold on to those memories that can inhibit your everyday life.
Can we choose our memories? Those memories are things that we have. Right?
There is that movie about memory erasing.
Memories are things that we have. They don't really go away.
Yeah, but you can objectively see them. Like I've had some certain instances in my life where I objectively can see them. I don't feel like I have to be traumatized by them anymore. I have to have fear around them. It's like, okay, well, that happened, but now we can keep moving forward.
The idea too is understanding the fertile ground that fear needs. I mean, what is fertile ground for fear? Well, a couple of things. Probably being surrounded by people that have the same
that
fears.
Are fear-based.
And, well, it's interesting. Fear is like this very primal thing, and it's a survival tool.
Right.
And it kind of spreads like a virus.
Right.
In a way, because you'll notice, like, within a context of a group, if one person gets afraid, everybody becomes alert in a certain way and is either wondering what's going on or what's happening. So it's kind of an alert to circumstances that could threaten us.
Right. Of course.
So
that's important.
It can ping pong and flourish just based on a fear-based environment, or one person becomes afraid and everybody sort of becomes
on alert,
right?
Yeah.
And then we're wondering what it is that everybody's afraid of and what's going on, or we're feeling or sensing the circumstances around us changing. And hence that's a useful fear to have. Fear in that way can actually be productive.
Right. Agreed.
Right.
You learn how to you stop. You see how you have to respond.
So environmental, like, what are people afraid of? What are they responding to? And sort of this mass instinctual, you're afraid, so I must be afraid, sort of a situation, right? And what are some other what else can contribute to that? Personal experience. So if I'm prone to being afraid,
right,
or I'm prone to using a past fear. Gosh, that's really dark. Using a past fear to actually make my way through the world by being a victim.
Right.
That's
the habitual pattern.
To be a victim is to really keep that fear front and center, and to say, this happened to me, therefore I am weak, or I am vulnerable, or I'm weak to this. So
exactly.
That's another factor that can go into it. And also, I guess one's propensity to value not being scared. Right?
Right. Well, they have to work at that. Then you have to ask yourself. Like, I remember driving with someone and we got into a neighborhood and all of a sudden they're locking my doors. I'm like, what's going on?
even in a good movie, like, you see the filmmakers kind of get that group fear going on in the theater. The suspense and the sounds and the images and the dark lights are setting us up to be afraid.
Yep.
To be what? Surprised.
Yep.
Surprised by whatever might come through that door.
Right. And there's something fun, like as a kid, you tried to scare people to see if they jump.
There's an apprehension to fear. I mean, there's like a precursor to, like, feeling that somebody's gonna feeling like something's gonna happen.
Yep.
Feeling like something may happen, something may occur, and I think that can be used against people too. Like, if you set them up has a basis of fear and apprehension of something bad happening,
Right.
you've kind of got control of them.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Don't you have if you can distract somebody and make
My
them
uncle
afraid?
used to do that. He'd go catch snakes. He would torment his sisters. He would put dead snakes in the freezer to freak them out when they opened it up. Just
well, even as an athlete,
Yeah.
I mean, we use that fear factor. The idea is to get somebody in their head, make them think about something, make them question something. The moment they're questioning something, you take advantage of their vulnerability and move around them, or take the shot.
Right.
Or, if you're boxing, punch them in the face while they're having this moment of apprehension. So it's a vulnerable place to be fearful.
Yeah, and it throws you out of your game, especially like in a sport or something. You can't go into fear.
Yeah, because the guy opposite you may not be afraid.
You lose your focus.
He may be sensing, oh, this guy's vulnerable, so I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And so, you can look at that even as a political structure, people taking advantage of people that are afraid. And as a group, they're easily manipulated and through suggestion that something might happen. Aren't you afraid this could be horrible? This might happen.
Right.
So it's important to be able to have fun with it. It's important to be able to see it for what it is. But the one thing fear absolutely needs to exist is imagination.
Yes.
Without that overactive imagination, fear does not exist.
Right.
And thank God fear doesn't exist. Thank God it's not a real thing. Right?
Right. Like the boogeyman that used to be in your room as a
or
kid.
something that's underneath the bed, or something that we're projecting into a closet, But but if that imagination can be stymied or put into proper perspective in relation to really what's going on, so what's the easy answer to overcoming fear?
The easy answer?
Yeah.
Put your attention where you really want it.
Which would be?
Well, if you're an athlete, you put it back on the focus of your match. We've watched some boxing matches where you see them get scared all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And if they don't go back into focus.
Well, so many people that have come in here through our first season, we've achieved one season of JoyScore, ladies and gentlemen. One season of JoyScore. Woo! We've made it through one season. We're actually on our way to our second season of JoyScore. The one thing that I think 70% of our guests have said they address their anxiety and their fear through some sort of meditation technique, or they have a way of making a switch and becoming more present, which allows them to see the objective reality of the world that they're in, so they can make good choices that are not fear-based choices.
Right. Well, and it's always, good how I guide the students or the clients in the clinic or my clients is to identify where, and I think you might do this in your technique, but to identify where you want to be, like what is it that you want to be in a given moment. And so even if anxiety or fear comes up, it's like, oh, I want to feel joy. Oh,
yeah, but you see, here's the deal. When anxiety and fear comes up, that would be a type of mental laziness, because it doesn't have to arrive if you're in a condition of seeing what is.
Correct. But I'm talking to the people that have.
So if I understand, my environment, and I can see it for what it is, nobody's going to put me in my head about what's going on, and also I'm going to be a little suspicious of somebody trying to make me afraid of something.
Right.
Because I'm like, okay, that means you want me to stop paying attention to what is.
Right.
What I want to know is really, why are you afraid? I'm not going to take on that fear. I'm going to stay objective with the person that's fearful. And it gives me a place and a standing in which to help them.
Yeah, that's what our EMTs do, our police officers do when they're on scenes, when people are in
That's great
shock.
If they could do that. I didn't know they could do that. I hope they get really good at that, because if they get really good at that, then...
they have to be there in that. They have to be so present.
Well, it can be procedural, too. What problem is you run into a lot of procedural police. You run into a lot of procedural emergency people, and those procedural ones have a hard time adapting. It's the experienced ones. And not everybody's, you're saying that, hey, we hope that the cops are enlightened. We hope that they can see past and into somebody's situation and help them and remain objective. But as we know, that there's a lot of accidents out there.
Right.
There's people getting shot unnecessarily because of somebody maybe being afraid.
Right.
Cops can be afraid.
Yeah, but it's not helpful in that situation.
Cops can be afraid. Hey, if you got a gun pointed at you, or let's say they get a call that there's a gun on a scene, and they show up and they're like, okay, this guy has a gun on a scene. They're going to be certainly more careful and they may have some anxiety about, not wanting to be shot themselves. So
Yeah.
it gives them an itchy trigger finger, and we can't really afford to have that, because really what that does is put blinders on the cop, right?
Absolutely.
If he's more objective, more present, he can actually adapt quickly to not only saving his own life, but to helping somebody else in assistance.
Yeah.
And that's a good example. That's a good example of, every profession has its built-in anxieties, its built-in concerns, especially if you have a fear-based boss who's constantly passing down warnings as opposed to affirmations.
Correct.
Boss is like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. It's like, okay, don't do that. It's really, to be a good boss is to give direction.
Well,
right?
that's what a good leader does. They direct.
They direct. They give you something to do, not what to be afraid of all the time, right? If you're a boss,
well, that's the same with parenting. You want to lead your children. You don't want to fill them with fear.
If you're a boss that's continually running a fear-based organization, you can expect those individuals, especially now, to revolt.
Well, stress will increase. So, Thomas, let's go through just a couple, because I understand to be objective and not and be in fear. But a lot of people have anxiety, whether it's low-grade anxiety. And so that redirect of your attention is important, no matter what. Even if you're the cop and you all of a sudden you got scared, it's important to bring it back ASAP, because you need to serve your community that you're protecting.
Well, to transcend, I guess you would say to be fearless, or to the fearless factor, would certainly factor in courage, a certain amount of courage to see past your own imagination, which could be clouding a circumstance or a situation, or your own past coming in, like a lot of people that come back from the war having these horrible flashbacks,
right?
And their road to recovery is retraining that mind and making themselves strong in a certain way, so when it does come up, they can see it for what it is, and that's simply an act of the imagination.
Right.
And if they can get past that and develop the muscle of perception to see it for what it is, just a memory, then they can remain with us and raise their joy scores and go on to be productive in our society,
Absolutely. Yeah. There's no reason anyone has to hold on to any fear, in my opinion, but it's a practice.
But the fearless factor is doing what our guests have been suggesting for the last several months, and that is finding their way back into the present and seeing and regaining their understanding of what's really happening.
Yeah.
And not being such a reactive unit to somebody else's fear, which is very primal. And it certainly is a basis for survival, especially in our more primitive form, when a saber-tooth might be lurking and somebody just comes in and says, holy crap, there's a saber-tooth outside, and everybody goes, holy shit. What are we going to do? Get the spears ready. But
that's why that built-in mechanism is there. The whole animal kingdom, insect kingdom, birds, all those.
But then, of course, hopefully you have a couple warriors in the cave, and they're like, oh, good, saber-tooth for dinner tonight. Let's go get me some saber-tooth, Let's go out there and have some fun with this challenge, and hopefully you won't get one of us, but if he does, I died a good death. I died a good death.
Well, and also remember, the thing I like to point out about nature is there is that built-in mechanism of fight or flight. If a predator is chasing you and it wants dinner, but you notice the animal kingdom isn't stressed out the next day. They're not even stressed out 5 minutes later. They are in the rhythm of that life cycle.
Yeah, and also, on our evolutionary road, there's a way to use that fear to motivate us. It's an energy source. So if we learn how to transform fear into like a jolt of lightning to bring us into the present, it can jack us up into a higher state of mind. It can fuel our ability to do extraordinary things under extraordinary circumstances. So that's the next level of evolution, is being able to transform that fear and not only look at it as an opportunity. The moment you look at that fear as an opportunity, man, like, wow, man, I just channel this back into the present and light myself up and activate my higher centers. Boom, I'm right back in the present. And I'm ready to adapt. I'm ready to do what I have to do. And look, I got goose pimples. That's a good one. That was a good one. That was a good rant. That was a good rant right there.
So should we bring our guest in?
Well, you know what? Let's show this wonderful.
The video.
We're going to bring our guest in here, of Leo Martinez, and we're going to show you a little video of him, just him doing some of his work. It's like 1 minute 13 seconds. and then we're going to have him here in the studio. So let's roll that video of Leo.
Can you grab
Hey,
Thomas? Can you grab him?
we're back at JoyScore, and we got Leo Martinez entering into the studio in just a few seconds. He's a pro skater, and he's going to be a wonderful welcome addition into the Fearless Factor here, and he's going to share with us some of his extraordinary journey, which I'm sure in certain moments had a certain amount of fear in them. So the man is here. There he is in the studio.
Woo!
There he is.
He's in the studio. He's in the house.
Where's your board?
It's in the...
Go get your board.
Oh wait, stay here, and Ron, go get his board, his skateboard.
How can the skateboarder be without his board? What's up with that? He's
in the
without
green
his
room.
board. I loved how you're holding it like a little baby.
Yeah.
How is that? It's not too loud for you, is it?
No, this is good.
Are you good? So you want to pull that mic close enough to you so we can hear you?
And if you want to put your phone up,
Yeah.
you may detach your ears so you don't get a little.
Yeah, he's setting up his social media. He wants all his buddies, all his cool skate buddies to tune in and watch him live. Although they could be tuning in to JoyScore and watch it live too. Like, we got a skateboard. You got a skateboard in here. His little baby. His extra appendage, that board, magically attached to your body, my friend. Yeah, he's just setting up his stuff right now. But
There
some of
he
these
is.
skateboards, especially now, man, they got you guys going down like hills and jumping like 150 feet.
That's the deal. All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you guys are freaking rock solid, fearless example of Fearless Factor.
That's exactly.
The Fearless Factor. Fuck that Fear Factor. It's the Fearless Factor.
All right, guys.
Are you up?
Yeah, is there any way I could plug my phone so it doesn't die?
Okay. Well,
That's fine.
if
Whoever catches it, catches it.
yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Oh.
I should have brought my battery with me, man. Pull that mic
Next
close
time.
to you so we can hear you.
All right, can you guys hear me? Are we live?
Go,
Are we
pull it,
here?
pull it
Perfect.
closer. There you go. Yeah,
All right, there
got
he
you
is.
covered.
Really close. Oh man, this is.
How
We
are
have
you?
at Leo Martinez in the house.
How you guys doing?
Is that your sponsor right there?
Yeah, this is my clothing company that I co-own with my buddy Eric
Oh, Elite,
Stamps.
nice.
The man
Yeah.
is an entrepreneur. He's got a clothing company called Elite. How does that? Where do we find Elite?
So right now we're doing a whole revamping of the brand. My buddy Eric he's had the brand for about 5 years now, and he's actually the reason why I ended up in California. Is he relocated me a couple years after I came to the U.S. with my green card and stuff, and we've just been doing it ever since.
So just at Elite or
Yeah, at Elite Brand.
at Elite Brand
Yeah.
to buy this man's clothes. I want to check him out.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm kind of old to wear skateboard. Can I wear skateboard clothes?
I mean, it's not necessarily just skateboarding, you know. It's
what else you got over
it's
there?
it's a lifestyle brand, you know. Anybody could rock it. I mean, so obviously you guys know. So Elate is a synonym of inspire, and pretty much the whole gist of the brand is just to inspire.
inspire.
Yeah,
Elite,
so,
inspire.
Yeah, so-
Elite is inspired by
Yeah.
JoyScore. We love Elite.
yeah.
we
thank
even
you
like the
guys,
name
yeah.
of that. We like the name of that. Who else sponsors you?
I ride for Nixon watches, Reeboks, Classics, and Kaplan Headwear.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's that logo you got on your hat there?
Oh, this is Layrite. It's just a brand that I'm affiliated, that I just been getting hooked up with, and just
that's funny. Layrite, you're getting hooked up with Layrite.
Yeah, it's a pomade brand. It's a pomade company. Yeah, they make sure my hair is always looking nice. So
he's making jokes.
Shout out to
men's
them.
grooming. Yeah,
shout out to them.
How long have you been pro?
I've been pro since I was 18, so I think I'm 28 now. So it's like
you've been a pro for 10 years.
Yeah, it's been 10 years now. It's crazy.
Well, so what is it? So help us understand what a pro skater's lifestyle is to those of us that don't know what the heck a pro skate lifestyle is. You got a circuit to go out on? Do you have go on tour? How do you do it?
Well, I mean that's pretty much the thing is that you don't have a set thing you do. It's just you live it how you want to live it. If you want to go do contests, you go do contests. If you want to if you want to go just film, just focus on just the street skating and stuff like that, you can go ahead, you can live it however you want it, and that's the beauty of it all.
So how do you live it?
I wake up, so I've been kind of an early bird my whole life. So I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's
with the sun,
silly.
or sometimes not.
No, yeah, the sun isn't even out. I mean, there's times I've gotten up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Especially with the filming out here in LA, you have to get it out there early, beat the traffic, try to hit as many spots as possible, depending on the the day of the week. But yeah, I mean, I just naturally just wake up really early. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, and I'll go out, and there's a hill bomb right down the street from my house, and I go out there and I'll bomb it as the sun's coming up. So that's kind of how I start it. And then
a hill bomb, I love it.
Yeah. Get
what a way to start the day.
Yeah.
he wakes up with a hill bomb, and if you eat it on a hill bomb, boy, that'll wake your butt up.
Oh yeah. If you definitely need some waking up, that'll definitely do it. But yeah, and then I like to cook, so I wake up and do that, and then go make myself some breakfast, make sure I gotta eat right, and then after that, I hit up some friends or whatever, and then figured out when we're gonna go skate, and then just go from there.
So how many events a year do you do?
It depends, it depends on if I'm healthy or not. I haven't been competing much these last couple years. I've just been kind of focusing on just street skating and filming itself, and just taking care of all my social media stuff and the day to day.
At the peak of your competing, how many events were you doing?
Ah, man, I mean, it was a monthly thing. When I was a kid, it was just every month, you had to go to your event wherever they had to go. So it was 12
times a year.
Yeah.
What's the last competition you did?
Man, it's been a long time. Like I said, I haven't been competing in a long time.
What's the biggest? I mean, this sport has grown so much in the last 10. The X Games have brought it to the forefront. Everybody has a new appreciation for what it is to be an athlete, pro skater. Yeah. I mean, how have you seen this sport grow? What are the major changes that you've witnessed?
I mean, just with a lot of the brands changing, for instance, having a brand like Reebok, being around and supporting, a skateboarder is pretty. I mean, the thing is in the beginning, everyone was skating, Reeboks or what other types of shoes that were around, just regular shoes, and mainly basketball shoes, I think, because they had a nice flat bottom, and so I mean, those are the roots of what street skating was, and then later on, all the skate brands started coming, skate shoe brands started coming around and really showing their they're taking care of the industry itself. But then it's now, because of the X Games and stuff like that, you got bigger brands like that, and that's kind of the main thing that's really changing. Obviously, everybody hears about it, and the exposure is nuts, and it's I personally think it's really cool, because it's really giving us and a lot of other guys the opportunity to really make a living out of it. So I really appreciate that.
What a privilege, dude! You make a living out of using that board. I mean, how much more fun could that be for you?
Oh man,
did you ever get sick of it, or do you have down? Do you I'm going to put the board away, or any stupid thoughts like that?
Nah, no. I mean, it's just I owe so much to it. Why would I ever feel like that ever? I just it's given me everything in life. It's the friends and people that I know, a million things. I mean, there's a reason why I'm sitting here talking to you wonderful people here. So it's.
Well, we're excited to have you in here, because your story in terms of just when did you realize you were a pro skater? How far back? Like this is, or when did you realize this is something you wanted to do? And then at that moment, you achieved it. What was going on in your life at that point?
When it first happened?
Yeah.
Well, when it first happened, I was actually going through the whole process of getting my green card and stuff like that. And the thing is, my family, we immigrated to the U.S. prior to that, and so I was going through the whole, this is the only way I'm really gonna make it. So I had to voluntarily deport myself, and I went back to Mexico. And so during the time that I was there, I just
wait a sec. Hold on a sec.
He just skims over it. We want to hear all the juicy details.
So you're only 28. Apparently, your family tried to come over here when you were 2.
Yeah, when I was 4 years old was the
you wound
the
up
last
in,
time.
you wound up in Reno, Nevada.
Yeah, in Nevada, in Reno. Yeah.
And Dad had a hard time getting some work.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. It's just
Were you cognizant or at that time, or was it just kind of blurred?
Actually, no. The last time that we did come, I was pretty conscious of what was going on.
How old were you then?
The
I was
5.
4 years old.
Oh, 4.
Yeah, 4 years, 4 or 5. Yeah, going into 5.
And you had a little brother with you.
Yeah, we had my little brother too. He was like 2 or 3 years old too. And,
so were you like toting around a board at 5? 4?
Oh man.
No, you didn't have it. When did you get the first board?
So I got my first board from my friend Zach Rosa, May 21st, 2004.
Okay.
2 days before my 14th birthday.
Wow,
and,
14.
Wow, that's
yeah.
kind of old. That's old to get a board.
Yeah, it was, honestly, yeah.
So were you a surfer before?
So you were a
just
natural.
were you like a freaking, what were you doing to prepare you for this?
I just, it was just one of those things, my buddy who gave me my board, I used to watch him skate, and I played Tony Hawk's Underground and stuff like that.
Tony Hawk's Underground.
or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. That was the game that was around at that time. But prior to that, we'd play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. When you really like something or you're really interested in something, you just study it. You watch whoever's around doing it, or even
who were you
the
watching?
game. Just
Tony Hawk, seriously, Tony Hawk, but in his digital form.
Yeah, well, it's because, like, for instance, you see the tricks, you see the movement of the tricks, and then, like I said, my buddy Zach was also, he was doing it too, and I was just like, all right, I'm just sitting there like, cool. Hey, could you do that again? I just want to see how it happens.
What was the first trick that you learned to do? What was that trick?
It was, obviously, it was an ollie, like everybody, and then like the actual first flip trick was a kick flip. So yeah.
Ollie, flip, kick, and then what else? Name me 5 more tricks.
5 more after that. I did. No, it's good. I mean, this is cool because
you're like, I don't even remember.
I do. The thing is, I do remember this because it's it's such pivotal little moments like that to other people. It's like it's crazy, but
no, those pivotal little moments. So listen, those little things, no matter what we're into, those little windows where we realize that we can do something. Those are precious.
Oh man,
those are sacred to each one of us, and whatever it is that we've decided to do, or if we ever had a memory to reflect on, it's kind of like that little personal thing that you're talking about, and that comes out of your persistent effort. That comes out of like your hard work. That comes out of the ethers.
Yeah, it's definitely,
and they're super special when they happen.
Yeah, 5 tricks. Come on.
Yeah, so it was a ollie, a kick flip. Oh, actually, I did a rock to fakie and
rock to fakie.
So I think you need to explain this to non-skaters.
All right. So an ollie is obviously like the first trick, the basic, the one thing that you learn first, and it's like
you could do an ollie in here, couldn't you?
Yeah, ollie. Yeah, I mean, I could.
You have a little thing you can jump off right here.
Yeah, right. And then a shove it is just it kind of, the board comes off on the ground and you kind of just like kick it back and it spins 180 degrees and then you just jump on it, and then so that's 3.
How much time did it take you to figure that one out?
Oh man, it's just hours, maybe even a couple months. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
100 hours, 150 hours of trying.
Who knows? Honestly, it's one of those things you get sucked into it, and it's like you just lose complete just recollection of time. So
that's beautiful.
It is.
And explain
really
the
is.
awe you feel in that moment when you master it.
I mean, that's the thing with skateboarding is you can never master it. It just, I mean,
I mean, a trick.
I mean, just the feeling is, it's just like you do it once and you just want to do it over and over and over and over, and then
No,
14
I want
years
to
later.
focus on something else. It's the journey you're taking, the timeless time that you're involved and immersed in sort of a mindless attempt to feel something that you haven't felt before. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So really, your perception to see something happen and to sort of sense what just happened with somebody else doing it is really the first key that you have to maybe pulling that thing off, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
See, that's kind of magic.
It is. I mean,
right?
Very
There's a lot of
magical.
extrasensory perception going on, watching somebody, feeling, projecting yourself maybe into their shoes, and then actually
Trying to pick it up.
feeling them achieve it.
yeah.
And then you're going, I want that feeling.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep,
Yeah?
that's exactly
That's
it,
right,
man.
baby.
You see, you
See,
know,
that's
you
sweet.
just
That's
see
a
it.
sweet
It's amazing.
spot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's just like you feed off the energy that everybody has, and I mean, it's just one
That's
of
the
those
same
things,
as
man.
throwing
Yeah.
a good football or throwing a
anything,
good
man.
baseball.
Any little
like you want to
thing.
be out there throwing.
Yeah,
you be out there
any little
throwing.
thing.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden, that ball comes off your finger just right, and it goes, phew!
Yeah,
and it
man.
lands right where you kind of thought it should land. It's like, holy
Yeah.
shit, I can do this.
I mean, you know, I wish I remembered the moment that I learned how to walk. You know, like, could you guys imagine what that would
Yeah.
feel like? Yo, those were the first steps I took in my whole life.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
I
but
wanna
see,
find that.
special.
but you see, but you do, but see, you're emulating those first steps by what you described.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey,
Yeah.
I sense that I have an idea of what that might feel like,
Mhm.
and then you go about doing it.
Yeah.
And that would be the same thing as a two. Except see,
Yeah.
the
No, you're
little kid,
absolutely.
the little 1-year-old doesn't have that rational, comparative, dualistic mind. He just got a creative sphere, and that sphere is growing and growing as that brain grows. I
Yeah.
guess they got another several months of growing with that brain, but it's in those breakthroughs that make it very
Mhm.
primal.
Mhm.
Make it, because what you're doing to me is a miracle.
Absolutely.
The
Definitely.
degree. The
Even
degree
when
of
I see it, it's pretty
the
crazy.
degree of sensitivity
Yeah.
and the ambidextrous nature of
Mhm.
going one way, going another way, elevating and understanding your center of gravity in such a way, and your relation to the board, and how to like it's physics, man. It's like the laws of nature that are
Oh,
going
yeah,
on to
it's-
watch you do what you do. It's like it's mind-boggling.
It is. I mean, it mind boggles me every single day. Sometimes I like fall asleep and I like actually think about what is really going on. I'm like, I don't want to think about this, man. This is just, it's too
Well,
crazy.
share a little bit of that, the presence that it takes so you don't. We were talking about before you came in, like an athlete can't get out of that zone, otherwise they'll screw up, and especially when you're like propelling yourself over objects.
Yeah,
Or-
I mean, it's see the crazy thing with skateboarding is that, like, for instance, you learn a trick on flat ground, right? So it's like, but then there's like two elements of it. There's like, okay, first say you don't know how to do the trick at all, so you just you try to do a stationary and you work on a stationary and you're like, okay, cool, I think I'm ready to do it with some motion. So then you
Right.
do it with motion, you little by little. I mean, depending on how somebody does it. I mean, me, I'm more methodical about it. Other people just they just go and do it, and I'm like, no, I like do it, stationary. Then I'll just, go faster and faster, and then it's just like, then once you got it, it's like you got it on flat ground, you got it in motion. It's like now you're gonna do it on, like, over some stairs, right?
Right.
It's like you really have to shut everything off, because if you don't shut everything off, that's when you start hesitating.
What
It's
do you
like
what
there's
do you
little
when you
things.
say shut everything off? Tell us that.
Like,
see that's
man,
see
like-
that that's see you're like an enlightened fellow and you don't even know it. Or maybe you do know it, but shutting everything off, I can tell you from our listeners and myself personally, I would like to be able to shut things off quicker than I do.
Oh man, I think
What is that? What is shut it off? What does that mean, shut off? Or does that mean not actually shutting off, but just more of an immersing in what it is that you're doing?
It's because I mean, it's crazy because I can really get into detail about this because
Go ahead.
Okay, so here we
We
go.
wanna
Are
hear
you guys
it.
ready?
Yeah. Woo.
That's what makes this show, man.
This is a special moment.
It's those details. Listen, it's those details that map out what somebody else may have to look for if they want to take something to the next level. And it's these are not little things. These
Yeah.
are monumental breakthroughs for anyone going to the next level. You may not appreciate it anymore because you're already at the level. You're in your prime.
Oh no, I appreciate it. Trust me.
You do? Oh, good.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
good. All right, well,
Yeah.
tell us about that.
Well,
then.
I mean, it's like now, especially now that I'm older, like I'm just so conscious of what I'm doing all the time. That
How do you understand conscious? What does that mean
because
to you?
when
Aware,
like, yeah,
like,
yeah,
aware.
yeah. Because like when I first started learning everything, I was just so naive to the idea of what I was doing. I literally believed that I can do anything. Like I saw something new, I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this. Like there was no doubt in my mind at all. And then once like, you know, I started really learning everything. I started because it was just like I went into it like I already knew it, you know. But then once I actually knew what I'm doing, then it just becomes this crazy head game. You're like, okay, I know the speed, I know where I'm supposed to pop it at, I know when I'm supposed to flip, just a million different things, right? So the thing is, then at that point, you're so conscious of what you're doing that you kind of screw yourself over. So it's like literally, you really gotta just shut everything out. You gotta forget, just like I did when I was a kid, that I didn't know what I was doing. It just became just the action itself. You didn't think of anything. You're
using my terminology.
Yeah,
action.
Action. That's it. You just do it. You don't
action.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, action's a big thing in my world. But how you just described what a great actor goes through before the director says action. Mm-hmm. And when he says action, he means exactly the thing that you just said.
Yeah.
He just said jump in.
Yep.
No time to think anymore. Jump in. Trust yourself. And the difference between a professional and amateur, the professional knows where to put his attention in order to get himself pulled into it.
Exactly.
And an amateur doesn't know where to conscientiously put his attention in order for him to jump in and see what's really there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. How beautiful.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yeah, and then you know, so it's crazy because, like I said, I really go into detail about a lot of these things.
It's good
because you know, it's just it's literally such a, like you said, it's literally just another, like it's just a.
Well, listen tonight. Listen to tonight's show. It's the fearless factor.
Uh-huh.
So what you're really going, you're supporting our little theme for the evening in terms of the fearless factor. Mm-hmm. So all of these thoughts coming in, and expectations and requirements that you're putting on yourself, or maybe that your team is putting on you, or your sponsors are putting on you. Those are like that's really the measure of your muscle right there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Does that makes you the professional that you are, because regardless of what comes at you, whether it's you being stupid with yourself, or whether it's some sponsor putting expectations on you, or whether it's your buddies putting expectations on you, you understand that sort of rational or dualistic thinking is going to sabotage you. So there's a certain amount of fear that you're describing. You're trumping fear in order for you to do what you do.
Yeah, I mean, you literally got to just.
What does fear do to your? What does fear do to your performance?
I mean, you know, the fear depends, you know, because it's like, for instance, yeah, when you're jumping down something that, you know, you've done the same trick over and over, done the same thing. It's like, yeah, it depends on the setting, you know, it depends on, or even sometimes, you know, like for instance, today I had my buddy Luis film me, and I told him, I was like, dude, you make me nervous because I respect you so much. It's making me nervous to do this, you know, because I just, you know, and I'm scared that I'm not gonna land it right away, and then it's just like I'm just gonna feel like I'm bumming him out. So yeah, I mean, there's one of those things.
That's self-imposed pressure.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, he's like, oh no, it's cool, man, you got it right here, and I'm like, I literally had to stop for a second and tell him, like, dude, I'm sorry. I respect the hell out of you. Like, you know, I don't know. It's just random little mic.
So basically, your idea of him is sabotaging your ability to have the freedom that you could have.
Yeah.
You're calling it respect.
Yeah.
But there's something in your mind, like there's a starstruckness about it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely starstruck. That happens. That's happened to me a lot of times.
Yeah.
You see somebody that you admire, and then it's like, wow, I can't even speak to you.
Well, you know, like I've been following.
I guess that is a type of a fear, right?
Yeah, because it's like it's the first time I met the guy. Yeah, just first time I met the guy, and I'm just so grateful that he's around, you know. And then,
more importantly, what did you do to get in your groove?
Honestly, I was really tired. I was just like, all right, and I was just like, dude, I've done this trick a million times. Like, I could do this. Like, what? Like, like you said, I was like, I'm sabotaging myself. And then, you know, at first I was like, oh no, it's the board, whatever. You know, I start coming with all these random little
excuses.
Things. Yeah, excuses. Yeah, perfect word, excuses. Yeah, and I was full of them, and
that's what happens.
Yeah,
but those excuses seem like probably a delay until you feel like you're ready. Like,
yeah, and then honestly, it's like what I said. It was that moment where I was like, all right, throw all of that out the door, and I just did
do it,
and it came out flawless. Like there was no like there was zero hesitation. I just did it because I put myself in the headspace where I was like, all right, I could do this and I'm going to do it. There's literally no doubt in my mind. And it's like I go about it like that.
Hey, how about this though?
So.
But did you really do it or did it do it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it did it.
It did it.
The board has a mind of its own for sure. Yeah.
Right?
It does. That's exactly what happened. You know?
Like you are the obstruction.
I know.
And then you're giving yourself permission to let it do it.
Yeah.
And it being the thing that actually can take action, it being the thing that can adapt, it being the thing that can reflect your true preparation in a given moment without you being involved.
Yep. I should have had the pep talk earlier. Come on, man! Like you got this. You know, not even with myself.
Were you
with
caught
my
off
board.
guard? Were you just a little caught off guard when you guys came together? The guy that you were skating with?
No. It's just like I had set up like, yeah, man, you could come out and let's go skate. Like I'll like cook you breakfast and stuff. You know, so it wasn't like one of those. It's just. Like I said, like, you know, it's been 10 years since I've gone back to Mexico, and, you know, I've been watching a lot of these dudes. And
go to at Suzanne's Toro Official or at JoyScore to watch this thing, the produced version of it. We're sitting here with the lovely Leo Martinez, pro skater, and he's sharing some serious wisdom here. So go there if you want to watch this. Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, you know, I've been, you know, I haven't went back in like 10 years, right? And I've watched a lot of these dudes do their thing, and it's like being a skateboarder in Mexico and having to deal with skateboarding how it is in Mexico is like nowhere near to how it is here. Here, I've always felt super grateful to be here, and like, you know, and this guy's like, you know, he comes out, and you know, like I said, I've been following him for years. It's been 10 years.
Yeah,
it's been a long time, you know, and here he is. He comes to hang out with me, and I was just like, man, like. This is crazy.
Let's talk
like
about let's talk about some real fear.
All right, let's
talk about real fear, and let's see if that real fear can be was conquered in a similar way that you just conquered the other thing, where it did it. So you're here for the second time. Your family comes over, right? Not legally, correct? For the second time,
not legally,
You find a skateboard at 14. You start kicking ass, right? You start.
Maybe. I don't know.
What do you mean? You became
well, how quickly did you take off?
You became a pro, like 17, 18, right?
I mean,
that's like
know.
4 years.
I was just super. I was just in my little world. I just skated, and you know, just opportunities just coming. You know, just were presented to me.
Opportunities came, right?
Yeah.
And then you were sort of discriminated against because you weren't legal. You weren't a legal residence. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say discriminate. It's just I couldn't enter like big major contests because of it.
So big major contests were actually sort of discriminating against the.
Yeah, well, because I mean, you know, money's involved and stuff like that. So you know, they had to have the legalities have to be covered and stuff like that. And yeah, I wasn't able to enter these contests.
So how'd that make you feel, knowing you were better than everybody and then you couldn't enter the contest?
Well, I wouldn't say better than everybody.
Of course, you would never say that. But capable of being
everybody,
in that contest.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, you know, I was like, yeah, I have a shot. But it's, you know, it was just, it's very disappointing that, you know, that was like where I was like, oh man, like this is really, really happening. Like I just got invited to this crazy contest. Like I'm so ready. You know, I've been preparing this for forever, and like.
Yeah, for you at that time it was 3 years. You prepared for like 3 years.
Yeah, well, I mean,
forever for a kid. That's 3 years.
That's 3 years of literally going at it every single day to the point where my mom's all like, Leo, you're being obsessive about this. Like you're being too crazy. I'm like, no, Mom, I have to do it every day. I'm gonna forget how to skate. I'm gonna forget how to do my tricks.
Nothing
you were disciplined
unless you're obsessive.
Oh man, I had lists. I had a checklist of tricks. I'm gonna learn this and stuff like that.
There's no such word as obsessive to somebody that's succeeding at a high level what they're doing. You got a lot of people going, hey, I'm a little jealous of your ability to succeed. Back off. Don't work so hard. Hey, you're doing really good. You know what? Don't show me up. I think you were showing up a lot of people. So you get your immigration lawyer.
Yeah,
right.
That was set up through my friend Manuel Medeiros, who's the owner of the first board company.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah, that guy's amazing, man. Shout out to him. I love him so much. He instilled a
What's
lot.
his name?
How do you
His
spell
name
it?
is Manuel Medeiros. It's just MANU.
Manuel Medeiros.
Yeah,
MAN
Helped you out.
UEL.
UEL.
Medeiros, MEDEROS.
But the
Medeiros.
result of that was you had to deport yourself back to Mexico.
Yeah, I had to voluntarily deport myself.
All right, so now you're back there with
That
no.
was courageous.
That's courageous, right? See, you roll. This is where we're going. See those eyes
you guys
roll.
are really,
See
are
those-
really digging
those,
in.
those eyes rolled, baby.
You guys are really digging in.
I saw the
oh
eye
my God,
roll.
man.
So now you're back in your country.
Yeah.
Your country of origin, and now what are you thinking?
Oh,
By
man.
yourself.
Oh, man. I mean,
No mama making you those enchiladas.
Oh,
and
no,
frickin'
yeah.
tacos and quesadillas.
well,
and-
I mean, I went back to obviously, my family over there, and but yeah, I mean, my life was in this whole point of complete uncertainty. Like,
Right.
Yes.
now that I think about it, back then I was like, oh no, man, it's cool. Like, I'm be fine. I'll see all you guys in like a week.
You were trying to be cool. You were trying to be cool.
No, I literally believed that. It wasn't because I was like trying to pretend I wasn't scared. I mean, I was obviously like, I'm like in LA, in like downtown LA at the bus stop over there, and it's like, or even a little bit prior, we did like this little rest stop in Bakersfield. And I'll never forget this moment because this was literally like the most terrifying moment of my life, where I was just, like I said, I was just ready. I was like, let's do this. Let's keep going. Like, I was on the bus by myself on my iPod, and I was just like, this is what I got to do, And so then I get to Bakersfield, I get off, and then I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh no, dude, like this is really happening. And I ran to the payphone and I called. Remember, you guys remember payphones?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I remember iPods.
There's only a
iPods
few
were
left.
10 years
Yeah,
ago.
right.
iPods
So
were 10
I went to
years
the payphone and I called my mom and I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I'm freaking out. And my mom was obviously, she just wanted to find an excuse to get me back,
Yeah.
But then she's like, all right, don't worry. I'll have your dad come out and da-da-da.
So your mom's making things worse. You're
She's
on the
our-
phone with your mom.
No, she's-
So,
yeah.
baby, come home.
Yeah, right.
Baby.
And then exactly. But then once she did that, then it clicked. I was like, no, like I have to do this. Like
And
I
how
have
old were
to do,
you?
I was
Yes, great moment.
I was like 17 years old,
Yeah.
and
Dude, you grew a pair. Right there.
well,
right there, you grew a pair.
oh man, it was like I said, I was like, no, I got to do this, and I just was like, don't worry, mom, I got
Stepped up
Yeah.
into your manhood, that journey.
Yeah, I love that
Yeah.
moment.
Woo!
That's hey.
It was the rite of passage into your manhood, like just to take
Yeah.
that. You wanted skating so bad that you.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah,
Do
definitely
it.
Do some pretty.
All right, so you're sitting there and you're like freaking out. No, I'm gonna do it, and then what?
Yeah, and then so then after that, I started. I got we went, and like I said, I was going to that story when I was in downtown LA.
Well, I'm gonna go back just to connect a couple of things.
Uh-huh.
So you're working with your buddy, and you have a little doubt, and all of a sudden I'm just gonna do it. Boom, roll in there. It does it. You nail it. Right?
What was just skating?
Skating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's go back. So you're sitting there. You're on the phone.
Yeah.
You're having these doubts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
Well, no, the thing is, like, I did think that I could do it. I was just like, once I'm gone, that's it. I can't come back.
Yeah, but then there was a moment at what you said, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. I was
And
like,
then what?
That's it. And then I just
You freaking just did it.
just did it. Yeah.
See?
I hung
Do you
up
see the
phone.
parallel?
Yeah.
Do you see that parallel?
Yeah.
You just said it was the most uncertain. Every trick that you do is uncertain. In order for you to pull it off, you don't know for sure. You can just go try.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
here you are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
But it
I'm
took
uncertain.
you longer than a week, right?
No, not in
Yeah.
that moment.
No, not
because
that
he
moment,
went
yeah.
like that, and it was a long trick.
Yeah.
You see what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the whole thing probably started unfolding for you in sort of maybe a rational way.
Yeah.
What happened next?
Which way, the skating or the?
No, you get on the bus. You now
Oh,
what? From
yeah. I was like,
Bakersfield?
okay,
This is
cool.
blow
Now
by
I go back
blow.
to skating. Is
No, look, he's trying to escape.
He's like, I don't want to talk about
Suzanne,
this.
we got him on the edge. We got him on the edge. We got good stuff going.
No, man, this is really great stuff. It's actually pretty nuts that I'm
Well-
actually talking about this live
No,
right now.
go,
Like,
go,
oh my
baby.
god,
What do you
man,
mean?
this
Are you
is,
kidding? It's inspiring. You're hitting on the main elements that anybody that's having self doubts
Yeah,
and has put in the work of some sort of preparation to give them the encouragement to step into the unknown and trust and have enough faith that that somehow the life is going to
a lot of memories right now.
somehow life is going to allow this thing to unfold in whatever way it does, but I'm taking this risk. And risk and this other word that you used earlier, action, are synonymous with each other, my brother. There is no action without risk.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't send a shiver up your spine, then bada boom.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? It's not real.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, you know.
What was that, Thomas?
That shivers, but it's to be or not to be.
To be or not to be, baby.
That is the question.
That is the question. You chose to be, whereas Hamlet did not.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So, anyways, yeah. So I just hopped on the bus, and I don't think I've ever felt so confident in my life, you know. And I hopped on the bus, and then like you know, we got to the station in downtown LA. And you know, we had a little bit of layover time, and I remember I walked out of the station. I was like, one day I'm gonna live here in downtown LA, you know. And I was like, boom, like that was like, I was so set on that.
Yeah.
But I also knew, like, once I crossed, like once I got on this last bus, like that's it.
You didn't know if you were coming back.
I didn't know if I was coming back. I didn't know if I was ever gonna see my mom again, or my dad, or my little brothers, you know, or my cat that I had at the time. And but it was just, you know, all of the most important things in my whole life. I was like, literally, like, I didn't know if they were going to ever be in my life again. But I knew, and I was so naive enough and believed in my dream enough that it was going to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I hopped on that bus, and, you know, I was sitting on the bus, you know, we're going, and we're crossing the board, and they're pulling us out, you know, to go through this little checkpoint area. And it's like, I literally remember looking at the person in front of me, and I was like, oh, like, yep, here we go. I crossed it. That's it. It's like once I crossed it, it was just like, you know, one of the things that I think would be the most comparative thing that I felt at that moment was I just went skydiving a couple weeks ago, and it felt like
That's fun.
Similar thing. Just obviously not physically, but mentally, it was like, you know, once you take that jump, it's like, you were in complete control of that. You were just like, I'm
going to jump out of a plane.
I'm jumping. Yeah. And then it's like you're jumping, and it's literally the most relieving and free feeling ever. Yeah. And that's what that moment was at the time.
You jump, it falls.
Exactly. So yeah, I crossed. So I made, you know, I did that little cross across this invisible line.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it. Like,
yeah, and then
so you're back home. You're in Mexico.
Yeah.
Right. And so what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Do you go back to work? Do you go hang out? Do you how do you stay on top of your craft?
So pretty much
without knowing if you're ever gonna really be able to put it back into how do you have that faith? Where do you find that faith from?
Man, I don't.
Are you a God-fearing man?
No, I just like, you know, it's just one of those things that I just believed in it so much. Like, you know, it's because of
you were feeling into your destiny. Right?
Yeah, but you get home and you got your board. I guess you got your board with you. So what do you do? Are you practicing with as much enthusiasm? Do you have a group of other people you were skating with there?
See, you know, it's crazy because
did people like go, oh my God, he's back. Good, show us how to do it. Were you like a big hero when you got back?
When I came back from Mexico, or when I went back to Mexico? Well, it was because like it was crazy because it was like, you know, I obviously knew a lot of the dudes who were doing it, and I was. But the thing is like what I was trying to say is that, you know, because of my life itself and my skateboarding just in general, because it's taken me on this very, very lonely path. Like I have no friends that I like grew up with who could come with me or be a part of that. I mean, they were, but in somewhere else. But it was something I have done by myself for a long time.
You're a bit of a nomad then.
Natural
nomad.
Hey, so lonely at the top, no matter where you go.
And I mean, so the thing is that I went back. So when I went back, I went to this little beach town that my aunt used to live in called Rincon de Guayabitos in the state of Nayarit. And so it was just this cool little, like, you know, house on the beach, and, you know, we had a microbrewery and a restaurant and stuff like that. And the thing was, at that point, I was pretty much in the middle of the jungle. Yeah.
You're
Wow.
like, here.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
pavement to skate on.
Well, like, yeah, there was just like this little area where my room is at. Yeah, there's that. There was just like cobblestone
You're like,
roads.
wah, wah.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. But you know what? Because
So you picked up
Hey,
surfing.
skating.
Yeah, I
skating-
wish I
skating-
should have, honestly.
Skating is it's the basis of surfing.
yeah, but
and
the thing was,
everything.
it's like, it's one of those things. Like, you're so passionate about it. It's like, dude, who cares? I'll find a place.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you love something enough, you will find a way to
So
do
where
it.
did you find?
So it was like the little area. So the little area where like my bedroom was at, it was just kind of like covered and like had this really nice, like it was tile, but it was smooth enough to where my tricks popped good. So I would just work on my flat ground game. You
Yeah.
know?
Wow.
And so
working on his flat ground game.
Yeah,
ladies and
'cause I was
in
gentlemen.
the jungle.
yeah, and I mean the little courtyard palm, like I used to like climb coconut tree and like chop down. We had a fridge and I used to fill it up full of coconuts. So when I'm skating the whole time, I was just slamming.
Oh my gosh, I love this picture. The giant green yo.
all the time. Like it was honestly.
You had your machete
amazing.
there.
Yeah. I said I hit in a little trunk or whatever, like a tree trunk where I had and like bring the coconut and just chop that bad boy open. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Wow,
you were
that's a
feeding
good
yourself-
life.
You were feeding yourself with some nutritious stuff,
man,
getting
I
you
was
ready for the next
honestly
level.
when I was in Mexico, I everything was just so natural. I mean, like I said, like now I go to a grocery store
Yeah.
and it's like I have to spend how much money on coconut water? I used to fill a fridge full of these things, Like, oh my god, like what's going on here? This is ridiculous.
So how long were you like popping tricks on tile and cutting coconuts?
Oh man, I think it was like two months where I was doing that for a while. And I mean, there was even like, I tried to go to the schools and stuff like that because there were schools there and they had like their basketball courts and stuff like that. So I was able to skate still. And then at one point there was like this, what's it called, this tennis court. Like it was pretty much just like run down. Nobody used it anymore. And I would just spend hours by myself and literally like it was like crazy. It was like this epic arena. It was like just it had the
walled
gates
in.
and it was like surrounded by trees. And I was like,
wow.
oh dude, what if like a
Did you
jaguar
have a
pops
camera
out?
then?
I didn't. I did.
He's like, no fear there. What if a jaguar
No.
pops out?
Yeah, like what if some crazy
Yeah.
something would have happened? Because there was like nobody around. Because this little beach town was tiny.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I see, like I said, now when I think about it, there's like all these things where I'm just like, whoa, dude, what was I thinking? I wasn't. I was just wanting to skate. You
Yeah.
know?
yeah, but you
So-
weren't alone. It was you and it. You and it were out there
me
doing
and
it.
this thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was crazy.
But you managed
So
to stay
how long?
focused.
So how long were you? How long were you out there before
Yeah,
you got
so,
the
like,
word? So what happened when the
so-
word came that you
so
were?
then it was I was like there for like what, like I think 3 months, and then I moved to another city called Querétaro, which is like a major city, and with my grandma lived there, and which is my mom's mom, and so I went over there. And what was really cool about moving there is that like where my grandma lived, it wasn't like the nicest area or anything like that. So again, back to cobblestone roads, and a bunch of just dirt. So I was like, all right, I gotta, luckily
Had to find another place to
so
skate.
luckily my grandma's like, oh, I know there's this spot right down the hill. That's where all of those guys, they all go to meet up and hang out. And I was like, okay, cool, awesome. This is, I mean, I already knew I'm like in a city. I mean, on like the ride to my grandma's house starting, I was like, oh man, there's that stuff to skate. This, but anyway, so then I went down to that spot, and again, it was just one of those things. Again, I'm by myself, and I'm just doing my thing. I don't care. I just want to skate. And then like right away, everyone's like, oh man, like that got mistaken for this other really big pro in Mexico, Polo Mai, which is actually one of my favorite guys in the
Oh.
game.
Polo Mai.
Yeah,
Polo
Polo
Mai.
Mai. Yeah,
Cool.
and that guy was the man. I mean, but still, I think still the best Mexican skateboarder of all time. And but yeah, and so I mean, they're like, then they're like, oh no, we thought you're Polo Mai. I was like, oh no, that's cool. But I mean, they yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, what's up, man? Like, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, my name's Leo." Da, da, da. And then it just grew from there. 1 minute I was just skating with the locals, and then next thing you know, like, they're showing me, introducing me to people and stuff like that. And then I started skating for this shop called Códice, which is actually Mexico's biggest distributor of skateboard goods. And so through them, I was able to like, start doing events and start doing stuff like that. And obviously, like, through the board company, Picante Skateboards, Manuel's brand, I was able to still, have that and be able to
Right.
skate for that brand and
yeah,
stuff
but
like
what
that.
happened?
And-
Where's the phone call, man? Where's the phone call? When's that come? You're going back to the good old USA. When's that happen?
Oh, man, it's still... I didn't know.
You were
How
waiting.
many months went?
So it was about what, year and a half, 2 years, or something
2
like that.
years.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Yeah.
Woo! Wow.
Yeah, man, I didn't know, but like I said, at that,
Just
point,
come
I
on,
don't care
just-
anymore. I just got to skate. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? You didn't care?
Yeah,
That's
because
cool. You just got over freaking waiting and getting through it. And
exactly,
over it.
I was overweight, and every month was like, oh no, like I would tell my friends, like, oh no, dude, this month I'm going back. To the point to where everybody thought I was crazy.
They're like, you're never going
You're
back.
never going back, dude. You're never going back.
You just
Yeah.
settle your butt down.
Yeah, that was, and then at that point, like, it
Go
did,
to at
you know?
JoyScore Inc. Go
That
to at
was it.
JoyScore Inc. Go to at Suzanne Toro Live. You can also probably find it on this timeline, but it's a
Oh, yeah.
live feed
Take this
to the produced
You can
version
take it
here.
off. Yeah. So you thought you were never going to go back?
Yeah, but that was pretty much it.
We're here with Leo Martinez, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you just tuning in, we got Leo Martinez in the
And
house,
so
and he's telling us this fabulous story about how he freaking got booted out and then went back and then came back and is the wonderful professional skater that he is now. I want to know when that phone call came and you were like, so what? So now I'm
Well,
going
this
back.
was initiated by the boarding company, right?
Yeah, for me to go back.
Yeah,
Well,
Manuel.
Yeah, well, because Manuel obviously, like, he set up the whole immigration thing and stuff like that, and because he used to work with the Latino community in Reno, and so he had all the resources. But anyways, yeah, so the thing was at that point it was just my parents, they had the lawyer that they were going through, and but they didn't know either.
Yeah.
And it's like every month. I mean, even my friends. In
So
the
you got the
US.
call. So you got the call, and then
Yeah.
what? God, hop on the same darn bus.
Oh well,
Went
the
back?
thing is yeah. So I got the. So it was. I wish I remember the exact date when I got my visa appointment, because it was like I got the letter and it was like, all right, that's it, I'm going back. So I went to Mexico City to go spend time with my family, which is where I'm from, and it was just cool, because that's it. I knew it was good. I wanted to be solid
Right.
with myself, because there was a point where I didn't know it was gonna happen, and it really bummed me out, and I didn't want to be around my family like that. And so I went back, and then it was awesome, just going back to like where I'm from my like some of my earliest memories in life was sitting on the metro and walking around in the streets in Mexico City, and now it's like. Now I'm back with my family, and I'm still skating. This is like I'm skating where I was always meant to start skating. That's how I felt to me.
Right.
Wow.
Because in the
Wow.
U.S., especially in a place like Reno, it's like there wasn't the Latino skateboarding community wasn't a community. It was just
Right.
like maybe a couple dudes, and then
Yeah.
like the majority of the time, it was so much like. Honest, like just racism, because I liked to skate and I was Mexican, and it was weird, and it was like, oh, well, you're Mexican, why you skate? And I was like, well, I don't know, because I just like to skate. So when I was in Mexico,
Racism.
They
from
were
your
trying
own
to tell
people?
you it was a
Wait
white
a second.
person's
Yeah.
sport.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Are you being discriminated against with your own people? Going,
yeah,
why?
it was all like
There's
the
racism
Mexican
against your
Americans here. They were telling me that I
internal-
was that it was wrong for me to do that, or be into like Metallica,
What
the
else?
music. But check this: in Mexico City, it's normal. It's like
Right.
the skateboarding is just you're just a skateboarder. You're not like, oh, why you're doing that white people thing. It's like, no, you're just a skateboarder.
Well, it's like in the
And-
Philippines, they put basketball with flip flops on. So
Oh wow, yeah, that's nuts.
I just got beat in basketball by a couple of military guys who played in their flip
flip flops.
flops.
Yeah, they learned from the Filipinos.
Oh wow, that's
kicked
nuts.
my ass. I was like, how the hell are you
It's too
playing
hot to wear
in
tennis shoes in the
flip-flops?
Philippines.
I checked my age at that point. I was like, Christ,
That's
got
nuts.
flip flops.
Those guys are gnarly for doing that.
But so that's really interesting that you really didn't find the initial support from your
yeah,
community.
but you know what? In Mexico, man, I felt good. There was everything that I loved and appreciated about myself and my life. That was appreciated as well from my family. I remember one time I was cruising down to the store, and I went and ollied over this little sign in front of this lady's store. And instead of her freaking out like, oh, why are you jumping off of that? She was just like, oh my God, I was just scared. I thought you were just going to run into it. and I was like, oh no, I just, whatever. I just ollied over it. And she's like, oh man, that's so amazing that you guys do that. That's so cool. I've seen you guys on television. It's like, I admire what you guys do. You guys are awesome. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like I said, everything about what I love to do was appreciated in my own country, that where it's supposed to be like, because I'm Mexican, and here in the U.S. because I'm Mexican I can't do all these things, but in
Right.
Mexico it's like, dude, it's
Everyone just does it.
it's just normal.
So, but if
you
you're
know?
in Mexico and there's some white guy, they wouldn't do anything.
No, that's the,
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. See, Mexico City is just, it's the most progressive and cultured city in the whole country.
There's like 45 million in there.
Yeah, 45. Yeah, 45.
45
And probably
million
more
people?
because there's a lot of people
Oh
that aren't
my
counted. Trust
A
me.
lot of people.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I
Good
love
Catholic
it.
families.
I just love the intensity of that
I gotta
city.
go there. I've never been.
Yeah,
so,
you
so
definitely
listen.
have
So,
to check it out.
so when was the next challenge that you had?
So pretty much, I had to come back.
Where was the next? Where was the next fear? Where was the next fear factor? In order for you to execute this fearless factor.
Yeah. So anyway. So once I just hopped, like I said, I went to go to have my visa appointment and did that, and then it was just like, all right, well, let's go back. But the thing was, and I was happy to go back. I was like, yes, finally, I have my green card now. I could literally do anything I want.
You felt free.
Nothing.
You felt finally free.
Completely free. I was the most
So yeah, that
amazing feeling. Of my
that
whole life.
liberation, because if you're not legally in a country, it doesn't have to be the United
you have so
States.
many limits. Yeah.
You do have a constant fear, because you could be deported, locked up, to who knows what.
Yeah.
So you finally felt
So,
Yeah.
freedom here.
So listen, you're so good. That's that story.
Yeah.
So now here you are, professional skater, 10 years.
Yeah.
And how are you serving your community? You do some wonderful things.
Well, so with my clothing company, it's crazy saying my clothing company. It's kinda nuts.
Say it again. My clothing
Yeah, my
company.
my
clothing
clothing
company.
company.
Your clothing company.
So we're
You're
working.
late.
We're
That's
working
on his T-shirt right
we're-
there. You're
we're-
late.
We're working on a lot of things to be able to. I mean, so from my own end, I've done stuff with my friend Chris Worley, who runs A Skate, which is a foundation that uses skateboarding as a form of therapy for autistic kids.
How does that work?
Oh man, it's honestly one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. She has little clinics, and the families bring them their kids and stuff like that, and then we teach them how to skate. We hold on to them, or however depending on the kids, on how they feel or stuff like that. We just teach them how to skate, and because it's such a social thing and it improves their motor functions and stuff like that.
Wow.
So you see the improvement.
Yeah, I mean, it's seriously so. I mean, I don't even think incredible or amazing or like those words really, really, really do justice of the fact that this thing with wheels, this wood, just very.
Hold it up. Hold that thing up.
Yeah, this thing right here.
Flip it around. Let's see the
And
yellow on the
is it
back.
the A Skate Foundation? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
the A Skate Foundation.
Okay.
So,
So
I want to
that's-
give them a shout out here.
So you're just saying that their experience with your experience with them on that board is magical.
it's the most magical thing because
Because they have the focus. Kids with autism are good about being focused.
Yeah.
And
So
so
what-
they pick up the tricks pretty quick.
It's amazing. Like some of these kids, it's just like there's people out there, even myself, I'll randomly come up with a stupid excuse, and it's like, at times they'll get a little scared about trying, which is normal. We
Right.
all feel the fear,
Yeah, there you go.
and but yeah. So
And
I
then
mean,
there's that fearless factor
and
that
then
even
and then,
they
and
grab
then-
onto.
Yeah, well, then it's the thing is, it's like it's crazy because it's like then at that point I'm like on the opposite end to where it's like I'm not the one facing this fear, but I'm here with this person's loved one, or like somebody's loved one, and they literally are putting all of this in my hands, and it's like I have to be the person to get them through this fear and be the fearless one and help them accomplish this thing that they have no clue.
Yeah.
Like they have zero understanding of it, and somehow I find the words, or I don't know how. I don't even know how. I just put myself in that headspace of being completely terrified. And no, I'm serious. It's serious. Yeah,
And so it helps you walk them through
Yeah,
it.
because I really feel it. So I feel the fear with them, so I'm able to really help them manage that fear and help them with it.
That's
And
beautiful. You have
It
an
is.
open heart. You have an open heart and your ability to empathize.
And
But listen, this ability to empathize or to understand. Do you think maybe you've developed that in that wonderful little nuanced skill by watching and sort of feeling what other people are doing with the tricks of the board. I mean, that's sort of that is the basis of empathy in terms of being able to project yourself into somebody else's space and feel what they're going through. Do you think that board and your relationship with it gives you that innate ability to do what you're doing? Because not everybody has that, by the way. That's a talent.
I think it's just because I've had such an intense life, and I've been put in millions of positions to where, you know, I understand like how bad things can get. And
you have perspective.
Yeah, and the thing is with skateboarding, that's the same thing. It's just now you're just on a skateboard, and now the obstacle is some stairs or a rail or you know, but it just goes hand in hand to where it's like it's a.
Do you see how
thing.
this hand in hand is? It's a beautiful hand in hand. So we got a couple minutes left. Is there anything that you would like to say that you haven't touched on? Is there anything that you would like to share that you haven't touched on? Is there something you can expand on in terms of this fearless factor? Is there anything you woke up to while you've been sitting in that little aqua chair?
Yeah. Yeah, I just, you know, I honestly just, I want to let everybody know that, like, honestly, it's, you know, finding or being passionate about something is terrifying. Just, yeah, it's extremely terrifying because you could be really passionate about something and want to make it a living and stuff like that. And the thing is if you want to have an extraordinary life, you're going to have extraordinary problems. And it gets scary. And I just, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's skateboarding, whether it's, I don't know, I'm looking at this pumpkin, so I'm like, whether you want to be a professional pumpkin carver. Yeah. It's just like, you just, you know, like, you're going to get put through those situations. You just got to just do it. Don't let anything stop you from it. Even something as crazy as having to voluntarily deport yourself, because it's like, you know, you just got to get on the other side of that fear before you fulfill your purpose.
Right.
Wow, there it is. You got to get on the other side of that fear to fulfill your purpose.
Yeah, because
wisdom from this young skater, this young Leo Martinez, just shared some wisdom here in JoyScore.
So yeah, just and also like never stop believing in people. You know, I understand in life you get put through some pretty sticky situations, and you know, it almost seems, I mean, I personally, honestly, I never lost faith in people because there's just been so many amazing people in my life, and I know there's bad people.
Give a shout out to some of those amazing people.
Well, I just first my buddy Zach Rosa, who, you know, gave me my first skateboard.
Zach Rosa gave you that first board.
And then my parents, my mom, my dad, my mom Raquel, and my dad Frank, and my little brothers, and anybody who, like, my buddy Tristan Peach, who when I first moved out here, you know, set me up. And that was through my friend Marcus Fields, who I met in San Francisco when I really needed some help, and he, you know, set me up. Man, there's so many people.
Hey, Thomas, do you got any questions from one professional skateboarder to another?
It's admirable, you know. I think you've been blessed, like you already realized, you know, especially being from, you know, Mexico. It's got to feel good, you know. You've got a good thing.
Thomas says it's got to feel good. You have a good thing being from Mexico to be doing what he's doing.
Thank you so much.
So listen, it's been
Well, I have lots of questions.
Go ahead. hit him with a good one to tag us and send us out.
Okay,
All
so
right.
I'm curious, the juxtaposition from the world of the jungle where you're on that court and you're like, a jaguar could come out.
Yeah.
And then you're in a concrete jungle that lets you have full expression on that magical board. How do you see those worlds merging for yourself in the future?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a great question. Wow. Merging and like what I mean.
Well, do you ever feel like you want to go back to that jungle? Like,
yeah,
you know?
I mean, oh, absolutely. You know, I've definitely been wanting to go back there just to, like, you know, when I feel within myself that I finally accomplished what I wanted to.
Right.
I want to go back to that tennis court and just literally sit there.
It's a strong imprint on you,
because
it's a great image. Great image for those of us listening to.
It's crazy. I wish.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish because you know, I had my camera and I used to film. I film myself all the time just to work on my stuff, and I wish I had set that camera down at that point because, you know, it's just in my head.
Right.
But
I think that makes it stronger.
It does.
I could feel it really strongly.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, at that complete period of my life where everything was literally completely uncertain. I didn't know if I was ever gonna see my family again, and the only thing that kept me sane is just skating in that, tennis
that
court.
arena.
The arena.
The arena to the jungle animals.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I hope but I'm going to make that something happen, make that happen when I get the opportunity to do it, and just sit there and just literally reflect like I do all the time, is like sit there and be like, wow, man, at one point this was it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Hey, that's
One thing, I like the fact that he's a really positive, and he's got a lot of skaters that portrayed like the movies that are coming out that make skaters look like they're
Party animals.
Yeah.
well. Make sure you see that movie, the '90s, because
that movie looks amazing.
That's got a lot. It is
that,
amazing. You're gonna love that film.
Thomas was saying, our wonderful camera guy and editor, that he admires the fact that Leo, that you live a clean life, and
you're so positive, and you're giving back, and you're serving your community.
I just do it for my little brothers and my mom, because I just, out of respect for them, I just especially my little brothers, like my youngest brothers, one of them's 14 and the other one's 15, and I wanted to just live my life, and obviously it's broadcasted all the time.
Yeah.
and I just wanted for them to see, like, wow, my brother didn't have to do these things to be cool or be accepted.
Right.
He did things his way, and he didn't care, and you know what, and then obviously, like, for my mom, because I just never wanted to shame my mom in any way, and I love her so much, to the point that it was like, I wanted to do good for my mom, and I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize in any way, shape, or form.
You did her proud, and we're proud to have had you in this opportunity in this studio. And listen, the fearless factor, you walk out of here with that fearless factor because you got it in spades. But in order to have that high joy score, which is what this is about, how you see the world, you gotta implement that fearless factor. You gotta let it. You gotta have faith.
That definitely elevates your joy.
You gotta
absolutely.
You gotta have faith to let it happen, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, run that last thing.
The third video. All right. So we want to thank you all for tuning in today. It's been a really amazing time to connect to fearlessness and live without any fear in your life so that you can achieve these amazing goals. Maybe, what's one of those tricks? Jump off a rail and do something amazing. So we encourage all of you to raise up your joy score. If you have some fears in your life, maybe face them so you can move beyond them. Until next time, this is Suzanne and Thomas Ardavany signing out on Joy Score.